All right, everybody, welcome to this Scrum Week and welcome to the Nichstyle Academy Scrum Cycle. And in particular, for this month, this is all about balance. So we're in our balance cycle. So you can see this beautiful piece of artwork, which you might remember from our first Scrum session where we were talking about mobilize. So in today, we're looking at the period between 30 and 60 days, which is all about balance. And one of the things I want you to notice in this, because remember that vertical line is performance. Okay, so the vertical axis there is performance. Now you notice here in look at the look at the difference between the start of the month and where we are now. Right, so when we started our Scrum cycle with Mobilize to where we are now, see there's hardly any difference at all. That's totally to be expected, because one of the most crucial things that we're doing here, and one of the most crucial things that I want you to know, is that as we go about creating a business, they never feel like they're doing enough. Nobody. Does that sound familiar to you? You just don't feel like you're doing enough. And it's always because you're comparing yourself with these hypothetical other people. Now, first of all, with the Academy, something that you've got to absolutely remember, this is individual coaching in a group session. In a group environment. So individual coaching in a group environment. There is no race, right? It's just you, and look, because your particular circumstance with your particular work and what you have to do. A lot of you have 9-to-5 commitments, you have other obligations. The Academy was designed for you. Yet often we're comparing ourselves with people who either A, are able to do all of this stuff full time, and you're looking at their end result and looking at their current output. Whereas what you should be comparing yourself to is their output in their first year, in their first months of their first year. And the difference is immeasurable. And that's why it's very important to understand that there is a cycle to the way that you work and the way that the highest peak performers, and this is what we know from our good mate Andres Ericsson, is that there is a cycle to these things. Unfortunately, what most people do with their plan B business is they sprint, right? They get all excited. They come back from they've bought a new course, or they've bought a new they've come back from a 2-day workshop and they're super focused and they're super motivated and they're ready to go, and they sprint, right? They do everything they can. They sprint until they burn out. I see it every year with the challenge. You can tell the people who are going to be successful with the challenge because they're the ones that pace themselves, that they do little 30-minute segments. The people who do 7 hours on a weekend are always the ones that fall over. Always, because you can't sustain it. The most intense shipping peak performers on the planet use these ebbs and flows and cycles, right? They turn up every day, but like I say, if you can do 3 CFTs a day, and I'm not expecting any of you to do 3 CFTs, I just want you to just realize how not far off you are from peak creative capacity, is the most disciplined, the macrobiotic eating, incredibly disciplined, have an incredible team swarming around them, mega successful people that have 3 CFTs in them a day. 3. That's it. Now, what are they doing for the rest of the time? They may not be, playing Nintendo or whatever, but let me tell you, the intensity of the work that we're doing, they have 3 a day supermax. I can't do 3 a day on more than a couple of days. It's not in me. 2 CFTs a day is the absolute max for me. And CFTs, of course, are critical focus time. So this cycling, this sprint burnout is what we've got to protect against and what you've got to learn to implement where you are now, because the reality is we don't have 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to dedicate to what we're doing here. We're building a plan B to become our plan A, right? Never lose sight of the fact that the whole point of the academy is over the course of a 12-month period to build your business up to a $10,000 a month. That is easily achievable, and you can start with just a couple of CFTs a week, not a day, a week, right? So the cycle that we've just completed is our mobilize cycle, and it's about getting ready. It's about preparing. It's about understanding. That's why if you look at this, you look at the chart here, you've got just very, it's just very little tiny amount of actual forward progress, because that is natural, right? On my own project, for example, what I'm working on this past month is the cold leads to conversion. My 90 days is cold leads to conversion. And an absolute key part of that is having a good old traditional long form sales letter. And honestly, that seems like such a slog at times, right? If you look at my 30 days, 60 days in terms of outward showing performance, it's very little, but that's standard. I'm not panicking, because I know the cycle. I know how these things work. And like I said, what happens so often is you all compare somebody's last dollar to your first dollar, right? Or their 20th year in their career of doing this on a full-time basis with a super team around them, to you just doing this by yourself, stealing 50 minutes here and there, trying to make a better life for yourself. That's who I'm looking at, and that's how we're going to help, okay, today. And I'm so excited about this particular part of the process, because if you think about this, I love football, I love sports, Aussie rules football. I would go and watch Australian rules football every weekend, 52 weeks of the year. I'm always hate off season, except last week because the Bulldogs got thrashed. But I'd really love it. I'd love it 52 weeks a year. Why don't, and baseball fans are the same, and American football fans are the same, and soccer fans are the same. Why don't we have all-round sport for each of our professional leagues? Because if we did, our athletes would last, their career would be about a year, because they sprint, burn out, right? They need recovery periods. They need rest periods. Life is a series of cycles. We have spring, we have summer, we have winter, right? Biology, a fundamental part of our life is cycles. And yet we constantly make ourselves feel guilty. You make yourself feel guilty because you think that you are underperforming. Yet when you're starting out a new endeavor, the first 30 days, the mobilize cycle, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Pablo Picasso, Steve Jobs, anybody, the performance that you get in that first 30 days is tiny. And I know for a fact some of you have had some amazing results, which is awesome, and you're to be congratulated for that. But that's unexpected. It's a bonus. That's awesome. Think about it. We wake and we sleep. We have holidays. This is another thing, right? For when we're recording this, a lot of you in the Northern Hemisphere are coming up to your summer holidays, right? And it's an awesome time for you to rest, recuperate, recharge. There's a reason we have breaks. And yet you feel so guilty about it because you don't feel you've achieved where you need to achieve, because you're comparing somebody's last dollar and their work styles of where they're at after many, many cycles compared to you when you're just starting out. Okay? So right now, what we're looking at is balance. Okay, so we're looking at the balance phase. And right now, you are in one of three areas. But before I go on, I'd love to get your feedback right now. What's impacted you most about the cycle process? Okay, so what has impacted you most about what I've discussed so far? Just write it into the question box here. And remember, this is an interactive session. Okay, so this is a work session. So be ready to type, be ready to write. And if you're watching this after the event, you should be writing and responding as though it's live as well. So what have we got here? Let's have a look at some of the feedback. Such a relief, says Cullum. Time and place for everything. Different speeds and performance, says Thomas. No guilt if you're just starting out. Always was a bolter, and it doesn't work. It never works. Getting at least 2 CFTs in a week has been huge for me. I know it isn't much, but I can see the forward progress. It's all you need to start out with. The fact that this is a cycle with highs and lows, it's so important. Being middle of decorating the whole house at the same time as starting this. See, life happens. I had a Academy member yesterday who was wanting to release a book, do a product launch, finishing off a product, oh yeah, and go away for 2 weeks this month. It's just not realistic. And then you set yourself up for failure, right? We want to set yourself up for wins. We need that forward progress. And that's what these sessions are all about. You read my mind when you said I feel like not doing enough, says John. It's not a race. That's it. The first 30 days were far away from correct. Did not work with Post-its at all. No need to feel guilty. Just focused on one project, which I finished. Absolutely. That's fantastic. But wait to actually implement Post-its, right? Because you'll improve immensely again. So you've got all of this performance. So what we're going to do here is we're really going to get the next site. So if we talk about mobilize, our next part of the puzzle is balance. Okay, so we're in one of 3 positions right now where where you're on track, you basically feel you're comfortable where you are, you're off track, you don't feel like you should be where you are after 30 days, or you're ahead of the curve, you've got somewhere where you need to be. That's awesome. What we're doing now in this balance phase is it's all about recalibration. It's all about resetting. There's a magnificent process in Scrum, which is called the retrospective. And this is inevitably something as individual entrepreneurs we never have the chance to do. And in the balance phase today, we're going to have a chance to look at what worked, what didn't, what can we improve, what changes can we make. And in fact, we're going to focus on 2 things today. One is we're going to look at the projects we established at the start, up to 3, it could be 1, 2, or 3. And we're going to have a look at those, and we're going to look at the projects, and we're going to take out a look at the projects and see what's going to do that. Then the second part of what we're going to be doing is looking at you as an individual, because so many things you're comparing your progress from a course perspective, right? You're looking at things from a course, and you do the course stuff, but if you don't look at you as a human being, your energy levels, your organizational areas, the ways that you work, the busyness or the lack of busyness that you have, then you're working with one hand tied behind your back. So we need to look at both, and that's what we're going to do today. And I've created some worksheets to do exactly that, so we can assess it. So I'm going to point you to the Project Accelerator here. And this Project Accelerator, I wish I'd come up with it, but I had it. My good mate Taki Moore came up with the Project Accelerator, and it's an amazing tool which we are going to go through together right now. So here we go. The first thing that we're going to do is we are going to write out our up to 3 projects. Now, you may have had 3 projects, you may have had 1, you may have had 2, you may have had 3. We're going to write just the titles of the projects here. So, so for me, it might have been sales letter. So right now, just take a minute to write down the title, just so you know basically what you're writing of the your 3 projects. All right, so just write them in there. So on the left-hand side, your first column in the project accelerator is the project. Just write your 3 projects in there, and just let me know in the question box when you are done. So just jot those in there. All righty, excellent, very good, very good. Now, the next column here is progress. One of the things as entrepreneurs that we are horrible at, believe it or not, is actually giving ourselves and actually seeing positive movement. Why? It's the Zeigarnik effect. The Zeigarnik effect means that if there's not an intense emotional response to the completion of the activity that you've just done, your brain dumps it out of memory and forgets about it. It's still there, but it effectively forgets of it. But if you fail to do, if you have an intense emotional reaction, and when do you have an intense emotional reaction? You're right, when you fail. When you miss a CFT, when something of high stress happens and causes you to, everything delays and your week just blows up, you remember that because why? There is an intense emotional reaction to it. Hence, unfortunately, as entrepreneurs, we're constantly thinking we suck. Whereas the truth is we've actually got some stuff done. So it's absolutely crucial when we're checking in on any sort of project is to figure out what our progress is. So I'm going to give you a timer for a couple of minutes, and I want you to pop in some bullet points of what progress you have made, okay, for each of these. So just pop some bullet points in there, and then when you've done that, if you could pop them here in the question box as well, so we can celebrate and we can acknowledge the progress that you've made. So I'm just going to get Siri to do 2 minutes and just jot those in now. Hey Siri, set a timer for 2 minutes. So what progress have you made? What stuff have you done? And it can be a little thing. Remember, in the mobilized stage, I'm only expecting, as a general rule, a relatively small amount of progress. What are the positive things that you've done? All right, we've got 30 seconds, getting some feedback in. Stephen completed the Sage document and got back-end tech up and running. Thanks, Adam. There you go. Well done, Stephen. And isn't that, Stephen, isn't that awesome? Think about how much you've been struggling over the last couple of years and how much you've been able to do in just the last month. Like major progress. Well done. Bill chose market, did the pains, gains and jobs to be done on project 2, and project 3 haven't started yet. That's quite natural. It may be, you know, if you're doing things sequentially, maybe all you've done is project 1 so far. Makes total sense. That's the case with me, for example. Completed work with 8 clients with the done for you setup. Well done, Adam. Make videos for the entire process and tested process. Picked initial outsourcing firm to work with and bought some hours with them. Brilliant. Richard, win, blog, 4 videos done, most picks done and text done. Shopping list, excellent. Picked my market, completed my Sage doc, submitted to Fiverr to complete the PDF report. See, that's awesome. You know, most people, it takes months if not a year, to even get to the point where they're doing their funnel. 2 tickets, got help from the team, says Thomas. I love this process, says Michael. That's awesome. David, brainstorm many potential target markets, ask for help when needed, chosen my first single market to test. You know, asking for help is a big, big deal. And this is coming from somebody who is almost to the point of terminal non-asker for help. And it's insane, actually. But I'm so thrilled. I can understand why it's such a big win. So that's brilliant. Thomas, ticket, organise the binder, send first email with 2 links to my list, says Diane. Sue, finally found a market I feel great about. Got most of my content created and Facebook ad audiences worked out, says Emma. Hillary, 20 annual pay. And I notice a couple of you are still tempering your progress. You're saying, oh, I did this, this, and this, and this, but no, this is the progress section. I'm only interested in the progress. Don't worry, I'll give you a chance. We'll figure out where things didn't go so well. Don't worry, there'll be time for that. Celebrate the wins. You did what you did. This is a Yoda-style progress. I'm only interested in the progress. Oh, this is fantastic. Look at all of this. Monica, thought I'd done too much on project 2 and 3, but did 8 things. Gave it a name, did Sage document, identified first step, planned content, simplified newsletter, read Taki's book, which is awesome, got 2 clients who want to buy. Brilliant. John Yasma, 70 subscribers, engaged with 5, outlined MVP, realised I don't need to have unique content, just a unique name for the process. Big, big win. That is a huge deal, right? And not even talking about the unique mechanism. Remember, the unique mechanism can be just one part of the process. It can be one little element which is unique that can be part of the process, which is brilliant. This is fantastic. Got the website to where I want it, says Ben. Well done. Got some ideas for markets. Use Voxer, using a schedule now. That is brilliant. All right, thank you, everybody. If I haven't have not died despite it being 30 degrees in my apartment because my AC is broken. Hopefully there's some other wins, Sam, but I'm pleased that you're not dead. That is a positive. That is for sure. All right, let's have a look. So we've got here, we've popped our progress in. Now what I want you to do is pop out where you were stuck. Okay, so what I want you to do is write in here where you were stuck in the process. And I want you to try be as specific as you possibly can. Like, don't just say, I didn't complete the process. No, where did you get to and what part of the process was a derail? Or what was the thing when we're looking at the project, what was the thing? There might be some of these where you're not stuck, you're just motoring along. That's awesome too, right? It's brilliant, in fact. But often there are parts where you're stuck. Let's try to be as specific as possible, because the more specific you are, the more we will be able to help you, okay? So let's be super specific, as much as you can be, okay, with these. All right, so let's do it. I'll give you a couple of minutes. Where's my timer? Oh. Hey Siri, set a timer for 2 minutes. All right, we're away. So where did you get stuck? Picked a project and using a schedule. Well done, David. Nadia installed a new theme. That's fantastic. Well done. Brian says, prove your point that digital Scrum boards don't work. Have my physical board set up. You told me so. Ed was right. Hashtag. No, trust me. I've tried. It doesn't work. It just simply doesn't work. If you are a high quick start and more importantly, a low follow through, a digital board will not work. It just won't work. Not your fault. It's just how we're wired. There's a lot of people in the general population where it does work, right? But not us, not entrepreneurs. There's unless you've got a high follow through, 7, 8, 9, it's not going to work. Okay, and people are starting to pop in their stuck areas, so that is excellent. Very, very good. Uh, so Ben, picking market, going into pains, gains, and jobs to be done. So that's right there, Ben, is all about doing the market selection process in week 3 of the implementation workshop and focusing on that. There's an interesting here we are. Let's go here, and then let's go here. This amazing little drawing here is, if you look at our progress and our 90-day goal as the top of the mountain, and here we are, we're starting out here at the bottom of the mountain. Right, and we need to go up, and it's a multi-day journey, so we're going to need to take some gear or equipment. And what happens is people who are high fact finders, right, they fill their backpack instead of just being just in time. So the specific things you need to take the next part of the journey, what they tend to do is they tend to fill their backpack with all the stuff that is just in case. Okay, just in case. And so what ends up happening is you've got this huge backpack and it's so big you can't even start walking up the mountain because it's too heavy. You have put all this stuff here, you've built up this incredible mental backpack of stuff that you might need and you might need to learn and you might need to understand, and you've spent all your time packing and no time walking up the mountain. Now, alternatively, us high quick starts, we don't even bother to get dressed. We go, yay, we're totally naked climbing up a mountain until we get 2/3 of the way up and die of exposure. Right? So these are the things that we should have prepared a little bit, right? So there's two sides of a coin. And that's really important when you're looking at places where you get stuck. So often the goal is to really carve things away. Okay, so that's very important. Need to set better expectations? Absolutely. So what else have we got? Haven't outsourced yet because you've been worried, and that's completely natural. All right. Realised more detailed examination of specific lenders' funds infos need in order to build the MVP. So that's a very good detailed one. Excellent. Very good. Creating voiceover and vid editing work took a long time. Yep. And these are things we don't know until we get into them. It makes so much sense. For me, for example, yeah, I underestimated the number of CFTs that it would take to write the guts of the sales letter. I got the offer done pretty quickly. I got the lead and the headline done pretty well. And I'm up to like 6 CFTs so far, just writing the vomit draft of the middle of the sales letter. So it absolutely happens. Haven't signed up for ClickFunnels yet. Dropped some CFTs and tickets took longer. Good to know. Overwhelmingly stuck is choosing the tickets that seem scary. That's interesting. We're going to talk about that. That's a you problem. Okay. What I want you to focus on here is the projects, where you're stuck in your specific projects, right? Don't worry, we'll come to you shortly, but look at, it's very important that you delineate the projects, the stuck points for the project. So we put ourselves and have a dispassionate look at the project. This is not a blaming exercise. This is just where we, if there are stuck points, where are we stuck? Acknowledge it. Remember, the first part of any 12-step process is acknowledgement. And so acknowledgement is a very crucial thing. But it's not about you. It's not the stuff that you did. So for example, before we had somebody who was stuck with outsourcing. That's both, right? Because there's a personal issue and there's a challenge. We need to break up the difference. There's the logistics of outsourcing, right? Is that the issue? Or is it an issue, it's a management style issue or a management issue, or afraid of economics of outsourcing issue, right? Two different parts, right? So right now we're focusing on the project. Still stuck, resistance doing the basic steps. Schedule, picking tickets, setting timer, getting clear on done. Now, again, this, Nadia, that is not a project challenge. That's a you challenge, right? I want to be really specific about this, folks, right? I really want you to think this is project stuck, not you personally stuck. Trust me, we're going to get the personal stuck stuff in just about 20 minutes time. But right now, it's about the projects, okay? It's about the project. So feel free, while I'm looking at some of these, to go and adjust to make sure that the stuck parts are not about you, organizational energy issues, external interruption issues, but the specific parts of the project, okay? So Diane's got here, what should I be posting on my Facebook page? So that's a logistical issue. And the quick answer is just post cool stuff, right? Don't overthink it, right? Just post stuff that'll help people, right? And post something, once a day, which is a cool tidbit or something that you're doing with your own market research for the market. Post a cool YouTube video that you saw or a cool blog post. Don't feel like you have to work. Your projects have sticking. See, here's the thing. But what if I'm the sticking point? Yeah, that may well be the case, but where are the projects stuck? Look at the projects. Where did you get up to? Where are they stuck? Because it's the other thing that you've got to be careful of is using you as an excuse, right? This is why we divide up the project and you, because the projects are somewhere and they are stuck somewhere, right? Wherever they happen to be. And you need to acknowledge that, right? Because the other thing that can be a real problem is that we just think, oh, it's me, it's me, it's me, it's me. And you can get into this learned helplessness strategy. And honestly, world's smallest tiny violin here. Get over yourself, right? You're all capable. You're all on this amazing GoToWebinar. You're in a squad from people all around the world. You have the entrepreneurial spirit in your body. This is what we've got here. We know for a fact, I know for a fact, every single one of you is capable of doing this, right? But so you need to focus on the project right now, right? What is the project stuck points? Okay. So shifting visibility of my initial STM to test as I learn more about the interests and behaviours of the market and pains, gains, and jobs to be done. It's so good, when you are changing direction based on actual market feedback. That's where we want to do those changes, right? That makes total sense. All right, brilliant. Well done. So, and again, focusing on the project now. I really want you to focus on the project, okay? Not you, the project. And this is awesome, right? This is why we're here, right? Because this is what a coach is all about. This is my role for you, is to show you the delineation between these two things, okay? So here's what, and I want you to be really, again, as specific as you can possibly be about the project, each of the projects. What is, if we look forward to the next 30 days, what's the key focus, right? What's the key deliverable? What's the key fix, right? Over the next 30 days, looking forward, what's the key thing to fix? What's the key thing to focus on? The more specific, the better. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. Hey Siri, set a timer for 2 minutes to look at what is the specific, there we are. What's our next focus point? What's our next fix, focus, looking at the next 30 days? I want you to keep it specific, and I want you to keep it as simple as you possibly can. Specific yet simple. It's easy. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go through a couple of these pains. In Kara, stuck on being able to find specific pains related to my sub niche. Instead, I'm mostly finding general pains about the overall niche. Hey, guess what? That's completely not unusual. Okay, that is completely not unusual. Okay, I'm trying to think of an example. Photography. It may well be that there's, this one, you might see a thread in a forum as opposed to the overall photography forum about people who are doing high dynamic range photography or any of those things. So it's completely not unusual. All you need to do at this point is identify the key pains, and our market testing is going to tell you what that is. Remember, initially we're only doing pains, gains, and jobs to be done. So literally, so that we can create a Sage document so that we can start to test and see if we can get some leads, and more importantly, get some communication and responsiveness in the market. It's not, you're in a non-judgment phase still. So just pick the top pain and move forward. That is key. Okay, how are you going here, folks? So Janelle, set up the funnel and do the Facebook ads. Very good. Adam, make sales video explaining the process. Set expectations. That's a very good idea. Outsource first customer. Brilliant. Emma, I need to get enough data quickly from my Facebook ads so I can tweak my offer. Great way of putting that, Emma. Excellent. Because that's right, we don't know until we get out there. Hillary, running Facebook ad tests starting from the 1,500 emails and getting the funnel going, right? And I appreciate that some of you probably typing for brevity. I know I always do when I'm doing these, but make sure you know what the getting funnel going means. So I'm sure you do in that case, but that's fantastic. Next outcome, test if Facebook delivers leads for 50 cents or less. Interesting. Okay, cool, Michael. And I'm interested why you picked 50 cents, because I think you've got to determine whether Facebook will give you leads, right? You'll discover how much they'll give you leads for through the course of testing by setting a particular limit. Because here's the thing, if you can get 50-cent leads, that's fantastic. You can make money on a $9 product, right? It's awesome, no question about it. But what if they were $3 leads? A $3 lead, you can make money with a $97 process, right? So the first thing that you need to test is engagement. Okay, that's the key right now, not the cost per lead. It's the engagement, right? Is very, very important. So that's a good one. All right, Chris. Actually, Voxer with Ed to set up time to review Facebook ads. What you need to do, that's an action point. That's the next point. What's the actual focus for the month, right? So that's actually an action point, which is very good because we'll be doing that in the next step, which is brilliant. Get a market selected. Very good. Excellent. Get Sage Doc based on that. Fantastic, Cara. Very good. Yes, fantastic. That is brilliant. All right. Okay, so that's good. Okay, that was good. So guess what, Chris? Here's what we're going to do now, right? So we've got our next focus. What I want you to do is break down what are the next 3 steps for each of these projects. Now, it may well be that projects 2 and 3 aren't relevant right now. It's only one project. I'm saying up to the 3, okay? It may well be that projects 2 and 3 are not specifically relevant right now. That's cool, totally cool. For me, that's the case, for example. Until I've got the sales letter done, nothing goes forward. Well, that's actually not quite true because I have engaged the person who's going to do my Facebook stuff, and so I have actually made steps forward on the other stuff. But the focus is the sales letter for me. So what I want you to do now is I want you to go the specific actions, and ideally, and this is where it's specific, like Chris was, which is fantastic. So what I would want you to do is I want you to be as specific as possible, and if you can, make the first action a super easy one. Make it something that you can complete in 5 minutes. So the number 1 action, if you can, maybe you can't, but if you can, make it something that's super easy, super quick, so you can get a quick win and a quick momentum boost. That would be awesome. All right, let's get you some timer. Set a timer for 2 minutes. Sam asks a question and she's spoiling the ending. Are these actions tickets? Yes, they are. What about that? How about that? Surprise. And maybe just for once you've done that, because you might be doing it for 3, uh, just put the specific action in the question box, right? So we'll pick a couple. Put your specific first action of your first project in the question box, so I know that you're done and you're ready to keep going. So yeah, so Bill, buy domain for testing. Beautiful. Something that you can do super quick. Although picking a name is often the stressful part of that process. But yeah, give yourself, and maybe, so if you even chunk that down further, if you've got a domain, I don't know, you may already have a domain name in mind, so it's going to be super easy. But if you don't, then give yourself, that's a 50-minute ticket, and use the first part, brainstorming names using a particular technique, right? So maybe it's, free write for 10 minutes on potential domain names and then do a mind map and word association process and then go and look for the domain and buy it. But set yourself the goal of you've got some form of domain. And by the way, domains are never as important as you think they are. Not these days. Okay, let's have a look here. And keep going. If I'm just reading some out. Okay, redo pains, gains, and jobs to be done. Now, is that because, Cheryl, that's a specific market? If that's, again, look at you know, the little caution I'll give you there, Cheryl, is that if you're doing pains, gains, and jobs to be done, it should be is that because you're changing the segment or you're just not confident with the results? Because if you're not confident with the results, you just need to pick the top 1 pain and get the Sage document done, because the market will tell you whether it's right. Because if you just, it's like, where's our magnificent drawing here? Look at this artwork. Any part of this process can be like backpack building, right? So, your pains, gains, jobs to be done can represent the backpack. and you could be just trying to get more and more data to fill up this backpack, and you never actually get anywhere. Whereas you're better off going, okay, I'm going to see, because this is the process, right? I'm going to test in the market where this goes, and it may be that I need to adjust the contents of my backpack here somewhere up a little bit towards my goal, but that's fine, because guess what? You've moved up the mountain, right? So you may have got to base camp 1, funnel building, and you can restock and reassess when you get to the base camp to continue the mountain climbing metaphor. Just started a Google Doc for drafting my Sage. Fantastic. Check to see if I can create a subscription that will only be used for your email list. And to be even more specific, where are you going to look? Where are you going to find that? Give yourself a time limit as well. Upload Sage document. Very good. Yes, change segment, Cheryl. That's great. All right. Very good. But also, again, be careful there. So with the segment, now make sure you run through the entire process, right? You're locked in. That's your segment, because you're much better off going through and testing in the marketplace than just keeping changing segments. So make my challenge evergreen. Very good. Choose official name for brand, create brand persona, and set up Shopify store. All right. Very good. That's a lot of stuff actually as a first action, or are they the first actions for each of the projects? Just be careful about that. All right, Cheryl, that we need to have a implementation session because and what I would recommend you do, Cheryl, is use your Academy members, right? Because you've just stayed with demographics, okay? 40-year-old female workaholics, that's not going to be helpful, okay? That you need to drill down. Get the help of your fellow squad members, talk about where you want to go, and get the help of your fellow squad members in the Facebook group to help you clarify that segmentation. Because again, remember our triangle. Demographics are the tiniest part of our triangle. Likes and interests is the biggest part, and then behaviors and workaholics is a brand for a whole bunch of behaviors that are hidden underneath. So I just wanted you to get going as quickly as possible. This is seriously the best beginner coaching out there. Hashtag tell your friends. Thank you, mate. Much appreciated. All right. Very good. So right now, what I want you to do is I want you to pause. So hopefully what you've seen through this process is that we've gone through, we've looked at our wins, we've looked at where we're stuck, we've looked at what our specific fix and focus is, and then we've identified 2 or 3 actions that we can do to specifically fix that particular process. And in doing so, I've tricked you into creating some tickets. Ha ha ha. Right? So, in the most loving way. So what I would love to do now is get some feedback from you about what's your biggest insight about the Project Accelerator. And here's a cool thing. Guess what? You don't have to wait for a month to use this Project Accelerator. You can do a Project Accelerator check-in and it'll take you about 10 minutes at the end of your week. You can just print these out and you can go through the exact process that we've just done, and you could do it on a weekly basis if you like. How about that? So what I'd like to hear from you is in the questions box, what's your biggest insight about this process, your biggest aha about the Project Accelerator? Oops. No worries, Cheryl. I just want you to get cracking. That's what we're here for. Adam, fantastic. Would it be good to set Project Accelerator maybe as a weekly recurring ticket? Exactly. spot on, beautiful. Yes, you absolutely can. Indeed, I personally schedule it in for every Friday afternoon. All right, so that's what I do. Miriam says here, streamlined recalibration system. Absolutely. Clearly identifies needed action steps and why, says Alex. Keeps me moving forward, clarifies the blocks, says Sandra. Shows me where I am, stepping back step by step, be detailed. It simplifies the things in my head. Yes, getting it out on paper. I love it. So helpful to take a look at where I've been going round in circles. Even more helpful to get your comments. Now I know what to do next. Progress. Got more done than I thought. Writing things down helps me focus. Yeah, one of the best pieces of advice I ever got is never think on paper. Sorry, think on paper. Best piece of advice I ever got. Too often we get stuck in our head, and that's not a good place to be as a general rule. We're very critical of ourselves, and we get into these loops. You get unstuck by getting specific and focused. I may have to change direction from a niche which is sensible to a niche I have more passion for. Isn't it better to find that out after 30 days than to dedicate 2 years to? And reach out in the squad as well for help. Gives clarity. It forces me to admit that I am stuck and where you're stuck, which is awesome. It's so true, Michael, right? It's absolutely. As a high follow through, I love this Project Accelerate. It helps me see actual progress and small wins. So true. There are a lot of you high fact finders, and this is a process, which you love, right? Which actually gets you to that point of realizing, okay, well, this is the next thing I do. It gives you a process for moving forward. Same with you high follow throughs. And for us high quick starts, it actually gives us a sense of, oh, look, squirrels. We've got 3 things. We've got, oh, look at this. We've got 9 actions to choose from, right? So it's exciting. And because we're doing it visually, it actually lands, which is very important. This is a real motivator to stick. That's excellent, Nadia. Best thing, it's broken down into bite-sized chunks rather than the whole elephant. Forces you to review where you're at. I can get unstuck by creating a 5-minute mini ticket. Simply awesome. This is it. Little bit of momentum, and you've made a bit of forward progress. Ben asks, do you plan the day the night before or in the morning? Or how do you plan? Funny, you should mention that, Ben, because guess what we're going to do right now? Right, we've been focusing on the project. Now it's time for you to go to our next sheet and look at the project workflow booster. Now we're switching the process from the projects, and Sam, get ready, this one's for you, right? Now we're going to focus on you as the project manager, okay? You as the boss of your projects and your new academy business. Now we're looking about you, your energy levels, your productivity, your CFTs, right? This is all about you, okay? So we're now switching focus from the projects to you. Because if we just look at projects, which is 9 times out of 10, what we're doing when we're doing traditional courses and all those sorts of things, which are awesome, if we don't look at you, then, like I said, we're literally trying to create a business with one hand tied behind our back. So not only do we have to look at our projects, and now we've got a list of actions for our projects, now we have to look at how is your month as you, the individual, and how can we make some changes for looking at the next months and some improvements. All right, so here we go. Let's do this. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes to look at the first column here, which is what worked. Okay, so we're looking at the project workflow booster, and I want you to take 2 minutes. What worked? And I'm talking about you as an individual. Maybe you did the Scrum board for the first time, or maybe you scheduled your CFTs and that worked, or maybe this is positives. I don't want to hear, oh, I did this and this, which was awesome, but don't worry, the but part's in the next column. I just want to hear what worked, okay? So I'll give you 2 minutes, set a timer for 2 minutes. just jot down what worked. And when you've done that, pop it in the, I know you can take it, Sam, that's why I'm stirring you. So what I want you to do is what worked for you as an individual over the last 30 days. And when you've done that, when you've completed, just so I know you've completed, just pop one of them an example in the thing, because I'll read them out, because there might be this is this is why individual coaching in a group's context is so powerful, because as I read these things out, you might actually get some great ideas. Okay, so let's so for John, working in the mornings, being specific with tickets. Using tickets help me focus and getting things done, says Richard. And there'll be some of you who are not morning people, right? I'm a morning person, right? So I much prefer to get up to chat with you guys instead of staying up super late. I could stay up super late as well, I suppose, but I suck at night. I really don't do it. So, figuring out what time, even figuring out what time is super powerful. Work, I was able to win 2 good team members for the NSA process. That is brilliant. Just love listening to all the prospects and their enthusiasms and idea for the project. That is brilliant. Change my schedule to go to bed earlier so I could get tickets done early in the morning. Yep, if you're a morning person, it's a super powerful way to do things. I was able to come up with a helpful, unique mechanism out of thin air, says Michael. That's brilliant. Enabled us to schedule timely meetings every afternoon, make timely decisions, and take focused actions. That is brilliant. Sticky notes work. Customers find great value in what I do, and it's possible to systemize what I do. Front load my week because I lose steam as the week goes on. That's great. That is such a powerful recognition. I'm a bit the same, and I do a little bit of front loading too. That's a great little technique. I was able to create lots of videos, do mechanical work in the morning and thinking up stuff in the evening. If that suits you, that's awesome. Got 10 CFTs done this week. Well done, Miriam. Scheduled finding times for NSA sessions and CFTs. Getting CFTs in the calendar. Rather than trying to grasp what to do, found the checklist, the answer for me. That's very good. Using Vox is very helpful. Yeah, absolutely. I'm loving the Vox. It's so good. All right, excellent. All right, now let your inner demons out. Let's put it on paper. Set a timer for 2 minutes. What didn't work? Okay, what didn't work for you? Maybe you found that you were getting interrupted. Maybe it was over or underestimation of what you could do. What were the things that didn't work for you? And again, when you've finished, just pop it in the box here. I'll read out some more wins while you're doing that. Love being visual with the Scrum board. Organisation, thanks Bill. Binders and dividers for each project and the NSA. Well done, Thomas. High fact finder. Getting you unstuck. Yeah, the Voxer, right. Understanding my weaknesses and effective time allocation. Group CFT, truly breakthrough, says Bill. Yeah, actually, if you talked about something that I have loved more than anything, I knew it was going to be the case, but I didn't know how much, is how good our Academy implementation workshops are, which is very, very good. John, trying to work early when I slept late the night before. Yeah, you can't do it at both ends, right? Particularly at my age. Right? Might have in my 20s maybe, but now no. And so for me, what it was figuring out, trying to plan that ahead. Like if I'm picking up my daughter from after her show because she's in a production at the moment, I'm not going to get to bed till 11:30 because by the time she gets her makeup off and blah 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 blah, we're not home till 11. I'm not in bed till 11:30. So getting up at 5:30 a.m. is not a smart deal. Liked Kanban so much, found it difficult to switch to Scrum. If you find that Kanban's working, it's great. The only reason we use Scrum for Academy work specifically is because it's super focused on the stuff that I'm going to be helping you with. But it's if you've found in Kanban's working well, brilliant, stick with it. Procrastination, says Cullen. That's a big one. After straight 4 tickets, I tend to procrastinate. If you've done 4 tickets in a, I don't know if that's in a single day or in a single, but if you've done 4 tickets in a day, not only should you procrastinate, you should reward yourself, right? If you actually achieve 4 50-minute sessions in a day, you should be fist pumping. That to me says at least 1 hour of Super Mario Kart on the Nintendo Switch. That's what that tells me. And this is the thing, we're setting ourselves up so much to not only do the work, but then be in a constant state of I should have done more, right? I should have done more. And it's crazy. It's just absolutely cray-cray, because no high performer works that way. If Usain Bolt does his practice session well, or he just does he rewards himself. Now, the way he rewards himself is interesting and not worth going into here. Read his biography, but let's put it this way: all work and no play would make Usain a slower sprinter, and boy does he play. Not using CRTs properly. Too many fact-finding CRTs and not enough CRTs to move me forward. Great realization, Cheryl. I didn't always use stickies. I overestimated how much I could get done. Put 2 accountants in a room and come up with a unique name. Not easy. And that, guess what? That's where a process comes into it. What are the name creating processes? Google name creating processes, and this is highly ironic given you two, right, is because there are processes for doing this, which is really cool. You can't burn the candles at both ends. True. Didn't work. Too many CFT books equals exhausted, but I have corrected. Tried to do too much. I'm reading these out because I want you to get comfort of that your challenges are not unique, that many of the Academy members have these same things. At first had challenge feeling need to catch up with switched projects. Yeah, Miriam, that was a constant theme I noticed during the Academy this month, that there was this feeling that you were in a race with somebody else. You're not. It's just you. Nobody else in the world cares, really, your progress. I care, but that's me. That's my job. But most people don't, and it's you are doing that. So completely unrealistic with time. Awesome. You know what I mean when I say awesome. Overestimating how long some projects take. Need more Post-its. Very good, Linda. Okay, cool. So here's the thing, right? I'm going to give you 2 minutes. I want you to have a look at the what didn't, and what could you do to create more momentum in the next 30 days. So how could you go about, look at what you just did. Using the group for feedback was super helpful. Yeah, it is super helpful, particularly high quality questions get high quality answers. It's really good. So, people love unique questions and stuff. And if you can give them some ideas about your target market always when you're asking the question, because you don't want people answering from their own personal opinion. You want to put them in the frame of, I'm a 27-year-old kiteboarder who can't get to the beach enough, for example. And people are actually pretty good at doing that if you give them the frame. Okay. So thanks for caring, Miriam. Hashtag I care. Absolutely. No, I'm serious. It's my job, right? This is my full-time job. That's what you pay me to do it, so more than happy to do it, and it's fun. Okay, set a timer for 2 minutes. Let's go. So look at your sort of what didn't quite work, and just jot down what's a fix for that. How could we get more momentum for the next 30 days during our balance cycle? Jot that down, and when you're finished, feel free to also pop it in the question box, because guess what? These answers will also also be very useful to your fellow squad members. And if you happen to be watching this, writing this, write down your own as well. Make sure you're doing this in real time along with everybody else. So Karas, I find myself only doing the fact-finding parts and procrastinating what comes next. So what can you do about that? What's the thing that you could do? Perhaps you could do 3 action-based tickets, but try to make it easy on yourself. Just little baby steps. So follow naming process and divide. Isn't it ironic given what you two do? Also divide from CFT, and it's always the way. Don't feel bad about that. I'm the same, right? I'll sit there and think, hang on, is there a framework I can use for this? And inevitably the answer is yes. You just have to search for it, and it works well. Check in with my project planner daily. Ideally, if you've got a printed out scrum board, guess what? You can't avoid it. It's right there. So that's even better. Like, you check in multiple times a day. If everything is visible on your scrum board, that's why it's so important. So that's a beauty. Oh, here's a good practical one. Keep stickies and Sharpies nearby at all time. Put more blocks on my calendar for almost everything. I printed out my scrum board for A1. So I've got plenty of room in the hopper for adding stuff in. Take notes when reading about processes like unpacking your IP. This might keep me from rereading it 3 times. What's even better? Here's a little hack: is do what I do. Actually do it. Read the section and then actually do it, because you'll learn so much more from doing it, like giving yourself a 50-minute ticket to implement what you just read. So for example, using that very specific example, create a pink sheet. And you will learn way more from creating the pink sheet than taking the actual notes, because taking the actual notes is one thing, but that's not actually doing. The best way to learn something is to do it. So that's a good idea. Now I've done one-on-one training for so many people, I can now make some awesome help videos and materials so they don't have to speak to me first. Very good. Brilliant. Block more times for CFTs, but actually put it into my calendar. One of the biggest learnings, and it was really important, is that separation from, I've got one of my beautifully prepared diagrams here. So if you look at your balance cycle now, as you put tickets in the hopper, you can now look here at the, where are we, black. You can look at the project accelerator. You can review your 3 projects sheet from our first Scrum board at the start of a week or at the end of the week, right? Then what I'm doing, the very first thing I'm doing is, after I've scheduled in, so all these green parts here, this is my calendar. So as I'm looking at the calendar, the first thing I'm doing is scheduling in all the stuff I have to do. Kids' plays, appointments, meetings, etc., 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 etc. Right? All the stuff. Oh, podcast production, cookie delivery production, those standard things that I need to do every week. Okay? So they are the green parts. And then I figure out, okay, these yellow custard parts are the tickets. They are my CFTs. So in this case, I've got 5 CFTs that I have scheduled. Okay, so then and only then I review the project accelerator and review my 3 projects, review what's in the hopper, and then pull 5 tickets. And that way, because Ben asked me, how do I plan? I do it based on how I feel in the moment. I hit this CFT, I've got these 5 things in the hopper, and as long as I get these 5 things done, I know I've got forward momentum. So I go, what do I feel like doing? Because as a high quick start, I need that level of flexibility. okay? It's a really powerful technique. If you're a high quick start, low follow through, then that's a bit of a surprise. Like, surprise! Oh, good, squirrel. This is what I'm going to do this time. That's how I work, right? Because how do I feel? I'm going to get all that, and guess what? The one I procrastinate on is the one I'll do. And often I'll say, which one of these don't I like to do? If it's early in the week, which one of these things am I not so excited to do? And I'll do that one first in classic Brian Tracy eat the frog style, because then I've got some more fun ones. Laser focus, first thing. Yeah, that was a New Year's resolution for me, is to not look at email or anything until the afternoon, and it's been incredibly powerful, which is fantastic. I look at Voxer first, is the first thing I look at. Inject more fun and passion into projects. Chunk down project post-it notes even more. Stop feeling guilty. Inject more fun. So how are you going to inject more fun, Nadia, for example? Specifically, how do you do that? Maybe it's listen to some good music while you're doing things. Who knows? Create all the post-it notes I need for all the tasks I need to do. Or, Diane, do you need to just do the ones that come to mind right now and make sure you understand we just finished our project accelerator? So you've already got effectively 9 tickets there, maybe 3, 4, 5. So why don't you knock those off, and then as a ticket, then add more tickets in. Celebrate when I finish 4 tickets and don't feel bad about procrastinating afterwards. Yeah, that's awesome. Like that is an incredible, incredible day. And if you don't celebrate afterwards, here's the problem. That is incredibly taxing, right? So if you don't celebrate straight after the 4, David will back me up on this, right? Here's what happens mentally. It's a tragedy, right? You do 4 tickets, which is awesome, incredible work, right? 4 50-minute sessions is mental. And here's the thing, it's like running a marathon. Your brain has run a mental marathon. If you've done 4 tickets, your brain has run a mental marathon. It's exhausted. Now, what do we know about the Zeigarnik effect? If you're feeling after completing 4 tickets like that is, I'm feeling like I need to procrastinate, because your brain is literally deplete of the resources it needs to think. You have no glucose left. You have none of the ketogenic building blocks available to, there's literally you have literally burnt, this is absolute science, you have burnt all the fuel that is required for you to do actually anything else. So if you then beat up on yourself, what does your brain think? Oh, I did 4 tickets and it made him feel bad. I don't want that. I just want Richard to be happy. So guess what? It makes you feel bad about that process. It's actually vital that as soon as you've done your block, right, you give yourself a reward, because then what happens with your brain? Your brain goes, oh, cool. Not only do I don't feel guilt because there's so much stuff to done. I've just won. I've just achieved. I'm going to give myself a little reward. Usain Bolt gives himself a little bit of reward with a harem of women, but he gives himself a reward after training, right? And yeah, fascinating reward. But we should all be so lucky. But here's the thing, right? If you don't, then you actually not only have you burnt the fact that you've done 4, but you've actually compounded the problem. Does that make sense? I hope it does, because this is vital. Do some work in a cafe. Nice to get out of the house. Great idea. Something I do as well. I've turned off my email at night and look at it when I'm ready in the morning. Yeah, if your productive time is at night, turn it off whenever it is your productive time. I'm working hard on having a solid morning routine and improve productivity, reduce decision fatigue. There's only 3 ways for you to build up that willpower fuel tank in your brain. It's rest. Number 1 is sleep. Number 2 is food, which has a positive and a negative effect depending on the type of food and what you're doing. Adam, which you know more than anybody. The third thing is meditation. Okay, so that is a way of topping up the fuel tank as well. That's it. It's only 3. So that's What kind of rewards do you give yourself? I'm easy. I'm such a simple human being. I'll play some Clash Royale, or I'll play a computer game, or I'll read some material, uh, some fun stuff. Read a bit of book. That's what I do. But I make sure I set a timer too, because otherwise I could do that for way too long. Have an espresso, definitely do that. Meditation by crushing enemies in Clash Royale. Yes, that is true. Housewives of Atlanta, definitely. Yeah, right now for me it's Blacklist. I'm catching up on the last season of Blacklist. Loving that. Yeah, you get a lot of these entrepreneurial hustle till you don't sleep when you're dead, and they're so down on watching TV. Bugger that. I love TV. Love watching it. So yeah, that's the sort of stuff I do. All right, excellent. Okay, here's the thing. Now, what I want you to do, of all those things, don't need to do 5, but pick your top 1 or 2. Specific. Make it as specific as possible. What's your 1 or 2 things that you're going to specifically do it? So, for example, Nadia said, put more fun into my work. Okay, what does that mean? What's a specific? Like, for example, I could, I think, who was it? Somebody said they were going to, was it Simon? I think it was. Oh yeah, Simon. Yes, cafe, like going to a cafe to do a CFT. If you're writing, go to a cafe, have a latte, pop the headphones on and type away. That is a great example of something, because that's like reward, change of environment. There's so many good things with that. Also, but yeah, some specifics. So just fill those in. Okay, just give you, I won't even pop the timer on, just pick 30 seconds. Make a pink sheet. Me too on Blacklist. I love Blacklist. So good. I save it up for the whole season so I can binge watch, because I can't handle not knowing what's going on. Had a day when my brain was fried and did nothing, was feeling really guilty. Now you put it into perspective. Thanks. Yeah, like, yeah, if there are days, like yesterday, for example, was a public holiday here. I scheduled no CFTs. Right, I did my session, the Scrum Week session, and that was the only thing I did for work, because it's a holiday. I went and saw Wonder Woman, which was awesome. Really, really good. Try out the new 2VT mode in Clash. Will do, Johnny, Henry. It's awesome having some Academy members in the clan, especially while I'm doing good. Put stickies and sharpies on the deck and on porch for when I enjoy a cigar. Look at that. Make stickies for even CF work. Schedule CFT based on stickies. Wow, I've just got the visual. That's awesome. All right, very good. Okay, now what I'd love to hear from you as we get towards the end of this session is what was the of this second half, like focusing on you, what was the biggest insight that you had about this process? What was the biggest aha for you? Just pop it in the question box, and that would be awesome. Schedule hike with dogs, library CFT, cafe CFT. Love it. Perfect. Easy. It helps to do this process and see how others are doing it. That's the power of individualized coaching in a group setting. It's so much more powerful. The squad is crucial. I've accomplished more than I've given myself credit for. Well done. That I have to stop being so hard on yourself. Absolutely. Right? It's not your fault. As you can see, everybody suffers through it. But where it becomes a challenge for me as your coach, is that when you do this in isolation, that becomes the overwhelming thing. Whereas if on a weekly basis we can check in, we can realize that we're not alone, that we can reach out to the squad for help, that we can come to a session and we can come to an engaged session and get a course correction, or we can come to an implementation session where we do a 50-minute ticket by default. Those are the sorts of things. And to understand that for some people, just 2 CFTs, if they're focused action-based CFTs, is all you need to start, because you start to get the momentum. We start to do these monthly check-ins in Scrum Week, so we can reassess, revitalize. It's very good to go. Stop the blame game, focus on small wins. Since I'm a 9 fact finder, doing a new process is much more productive than reading about it. Absolutely. I'm not alone. It's quite human to have some things that didn't work. Celebrate the wins. It's really doable and easy if we take pressure off ourselves. Yeah, and some things aren't easy, but they should stretch you, not break you, right? That's the key. And whenever you feel something breaking you, that's where you reach out and you come to an engage session, and you come to an implementation session, or you reach out to the squad members on the Facebook group. That is where that is, because we can be practical, because we're all good at helping other people. You'll find it. I'm stuck on doing this. Your fellow squad members will give you plenty of breakdown on where, multiple ways of doing it, which is great. Setting up rewards for completing CFTs, very crucial. We are animals at the end of our limbrick system, so a little reward at the end of a work session is a real positive. Don't feel guilty for not getting everything done. Celebrate wins instead. Yeah, absolutely. And just learn from the stuff that you didn't. Look at it in a dispassionate, retrospective style project using something like the Project Accelerator. I'm stuck. Okay, I'm stuck. What are 3 actions that I can do which will move me along the path of being unstuck? And if you spend 50 minutes and you're still spinning wheels, still not sure how to be unstuck, that sounds to me like a perfect opportunity for you to go to the squad and say, squad, here's my target market, here's where I'm stuck. What are action points that you would do? What are the first 3 things that you would do? And people will feedback. Yes, hearing the comments from the squad helps. There's hope for staying on track and accomplishing projects in good time. Help maintain focus and recognize our measurable results each week. I save the done tickets in my diary for the end of the week, and look how many I've done on one project in 30 days. Momentum equals huge. I don't need to read something for my business now if I don't need it right now. Here. That's absolutely the case, right? Because all you're doing is loading up your backpack with just in case stuff, and your backpack will get so big you can't move anywhere. So it's a great metaphor to remember. All right, folks, that is it for this session of Balance. In our implementation workshops, if you're watching this live, our weekly implementation workshops, traditionally they're a 50-minute working session. For this week, in Scrum Week, I'll work with you individually, so you'll have the opportunity to say, hey, Ed, here's where I'm stuck on this project, or hey, Ed, here's something that didn't work for me in our Calibrate here for our personal stuff, and we'll actually, we'll brainstorm live. So that's what we'll be doing in our implementation workshops this week, which is fun, and we do that every Scrum Week, which we do every 4 weeks, right? So that is part of the flow of the Academy. Thank you, everybody, for being part of this, whether you're here live today or you're watching this. And we'll see you at the group. We'll hear you on Voxer, and we'll see you at the next Engage and implementation workshops. All right, folks, thanks very much. It was awesome. So well done. You all did extraordinarily well. All right.